this computer. Okay, and I am author H.L. Brooks, and welcome to the September Author Salon with Right Women Network. I want to thank author Mark Leslie Lefebvre. Don't be fooled by that B and R at the end of his name. It's Lefebvre with Draft2Digital. We also are so thankful to Draft2Digital. They are a supporting partner this year for the Right Women Book Festival. They've been wonderful and helpful, and all the fools. We're really happy to have them. Mark Leslie has published more than 25 books under the name Mark Leslie that include thrillers, paranormal nonfiction, and anthologies. Under his full name, he writes books to help authors navigate publishing, and they include The 7 Ps of Publishing Success, an author's guide to working with libraries and bookstores, which I think is extremely helpful thing to write a book for authors about. His industry experience includes president of the Canadian Booksellers Association, board member of BookNet Canada, director of author relations and self-publishing for Rakuten Kobo, and director of business development for Draft2Digital, and professional advisor for Sheridan College's Creative Writing and Publishing Honors Program. I see honors is spelled the Canadian way on here.
Oh, I threw a U in there, didn't I?
Yes, you did. I recently saw a call to submit something, and they said, please spell in Canadian spelling. Mark lives in Waterloo, Ontario, and can be found online at www.markleslie.ca, which I will drop in the chat. And you can find his social links there as well. Today he's going to tell us about Draft2Digital, what it is, how it works, and then he'll answer some questions at the end of his presentation. If you are thinking of questions, you're worried you'll forget them, or you don't want to ask them, come on and ask them on the mic, you can drop them into the chat, and then at the end of his presentation, we will go over what's in the chat. I will also drop his link in the chat. So welcome, Mark. Thank you so much for being with us. I have been really interested and excited. I recently signed up for a Draft2Digital account, and so I'm all ready to hear all about it and what I have to do.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Heather. This is awesome to be here. I'm looking forward to hanging out with some of you in person in October at the festival.
That's right.
So,
He'll be at the book festival giving a workshop there as well.
So I'm going to just jump right into screen share, and I'm going to reduce the little screen so I'm not going to be able to see reactions or whatever.
Okay.
But I am going to jump right into that, and then we'll do all the questions towards the end so we can have more of a conversation.
Okay.
So do make notes of anything that you want to ask about along the way.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So screen share. All right. So this is next level wide publishing with Draft2Digital, and I'm going to kind of walk you through as many of the free tools and services that you can take advantage of or not. And that's the great thing about Draft2Digital is the tools are there, you can use them, you don't have to use them. If you want to, they're there, and if not, it's always your choice. And that's really what we're trying to get to in a lot of these tools that we've built. So we've kind of already gone through that. This is just a slide, a little bit about who I am. What I really tried to do, and this is important just for authors in general to know, is before you give a presentation, if you're giving a presentation, it never hurts to share your credits to impress them with just how long you've been in the industry. I know I look really young, but I have been in the industry since '92, which was the year my very first short story was published. And yeah, I've got traditionally published books and indie published books and all kinds of different roles and guises over the years. But that's enough about me. Let's get into Draft2Digital. Draft2Digital is basically self-publishing with author-centric support. And the priority that we have is authors, and what can we do? What tools and what services can we build? Can we conceptualize that are going to remove your confusion and frustration with how to do things? In the early days, it was how to get a book into EPUB. Because in the early days, I remember taking courses on HTML, like working with HTML to actually handcraft my own EPUBs. So that was the first tool, but there's so many other tools, because every time we find a pain point for authors, is there a way we can automate that? Is there a way that we can make it easier for you so you can get back to writing? Now, the key thing about our business, and this is really core, from our CEO all the way to down to the bottom where I am, is everyone who works at the company. We do the interviews and stuff like that. They have to be author centric. They have to be caring. They have to be willing to listen, and ultimately, our CEO does not want to make money off of authors unless authors are making money. So when you make money, when you make sales, we provide these free tools, we provide these services. We only make money when you make money. And that's a key thing about our relationship. Now, we do have some affiliate relationships with trusted partners where we may make money without you making money. But the whole idea is we don't want to charge you for things. We do actually charge, and I'll talk about this in print books, but all we're charging is to cover the cost of what we're being charged by our partner. So there are some places where there's charges, but that's really so that we're not in the hole on those things. But we are actually operating in some cases at a loss, such as we purchase ISBNs in bulk, and we do get them for a much better price than authors can buy when they're buying them themselves. And we give a lot of ISBNs away. We give, I mean, we buy them, I think, in groups of 10 to 20 to 50,000 or something like that. So we do get them at a much reduced rate. But, you know, we know that there will be authors who take the ISBN and use it and may never actually make anything off of that book that's published, but that doesn't matter because someone else will make money. And that's really what it's all about. Creating a platform where authors can sell and make more money. And authors make more money. We make more money, and we kind of like it that way. Now, we recently merged with Smashwords. That was something that happened in the last year. It happened in our 10th anniversary of Draft2Digital. And so basically, Smashwords was acquired in March of 2022. And both companies now operate together under Draft2Digital. This was not a ploy to try and remove employees or anything of the sort. Every single person who was employed with the company, either company, still had a job. There were new positions that actually opened up. I think we actually hired 3 people after the merger to fill some other positions because you do lose people over time, etc. But what we wanted to do was take the best of both platforms and work together. And so, for example, if you look at the chart over on the left, Smashwords had access to gardeners, but Draft2Digital hadn't. Now, as one of the partners I was negotiating with, but the minute we started talking about acquiring Smashwords, there's no point in continuing the negotiations because we'll be able to merge those 2 contracts into one. So that's a really cool thing. So for both Smashwords authors and for Draft2Digital authors, at a high level, the first thing we will be doing as part of this ongoing merger, it's going to take a long time to establish the same database, is the Smashwords store we're keeping. It's a great store where authors earn 80% margin, which is better than any of the other platforms we work with. And the first thing we'll be doing is allowing Draft2Digital authors to get their books into the Smashwords catalog if they want. It's always up to the author. And then the next thing we'll be doing is Smashwords authors getting access to the Draft2Digital system and getting access to some of the platforms like BorrowBox, for example, that aren't yet available to Smashwords authors. And since about 3 or 4 months ago, all the payments that people have been getting for both their Smashwords sales or their Draft2Digital sales have been coming from Draft2Digital. So it is actually a joint company, even though we have separate brands and experiences at this point in time. So, pardon me. So some of the tools that we make available, the focus that we always have is how you can have access to those tools, can have access to options, can have access to opportunities. We want you to be the one in control of your author destiny. We want you to be the one taking control and steering and managing your author journey however you see fit. And we'll get into the ways that how you can leverage some of those tools. But what I'm really hoping, and I'm going to start off by showing you some of the things we can do, and then I'm going to give you some ideas based on my own experiences, etc., hopefully to inspire you to say, take a look at the tools, see what's there, and see how you can take that to the next level. So the first thing we have is the Word to EPUB or Mobi. Mobi's going away, but that is the Amazon proprietary format. We still give you a .EPUB and a .mobi for every conversion we do. you're free to take that EPUB conversion and do whatever you want. There are authors who are exclusive to Amazon in Kindle Unlimited who use our templates in our free conversion. They never publish through Draft2Digital, and then they publish exclusively using those books to Kindle Unlimited, exclusive to Amazon. That's fine. That's cool. We built the tool so people can use it however they want. We're hoping that some people like us, and if they are publishing wide, they may want to use us even if they're going direct to most of the retailers. Maybe they use us to get into the library platforms or some of the international markets that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But we have 21 designed templates with different styles. You're seeing one of the styles over in the picture on the left with the chapter 1 with the header and the image. And then there's even the breaks that you see between scenes, etc. And again, we allow you to have a nice professional looking EPUB, and then you can do whatever you want with it. And if you choose, you can use Draft2Digital for distribution. Now, these are the distribution partners we have. So we have Kindle. Most authors are going direct through KDP. You've got Apple. You can go direct to Apple or not. Barnes & Noble, they have B&N Press, which you can go direct with. Rakuten Kobo, you can go direct with Kobo Writing Life. But really, for most authors in North America, there's no easy way to get into Tolino, which is a German bookstore, and Viblio, which is kind of like in France, a major player in the ebook space there. So some authors are just using us, for example, for Tolino and Viblio, because maybe they're going direct to the other platforms. Now, when it comes to subscription services, if you're in Kobo with us, you can opt into Kobo Plus, which is their unlimited reading program, or not. Unlike Kindle Unlimited, there's no requirements for exclusivity, or Scribd, which is sort of a library platform that has that sort of similar subscription service. But we also have, for the library markets, Overdrive's probably the most well-known, largest wholesaler to public libraries and libraries in North America. Adillo is a major one, but more for academic books. So there's not going to be as many of the genre books selling there. But for some of the authors who want to write academic nonfiction, etc. Baker and Taylor is another major wholesaler. Biblioteca is. Hoopla and Dreamscape are basically another platform. And BorrowBox is one that most North American authors don't really know about, because BorrowBox is huge in Australia. They're also available in New Zealand. They're available in Ireland, and they're available in the UK. So authors from those territories recognized that when we launched BorrowBox, but the rest of the world said, what? Who are they? But again, that's just part of the ongoing expansion. Part of my job is working with different companies and signing new platforms. I'm kind of taking a pause, or I'm slowing down on that lately, because we have all these other platforms that, for example, that Smashwords has access to, that are going to be added to this. Now, we have 6 different library distributors. And one of the things I want to say is that, so library sales were already increasing. In March of 2020, it was the first time we saw triple-digit library sales growth, because at the time, bookstores were closed, online book sales went up, and dramatically more and more people were ordering ebooks and digital content through their library apps. Like Libby is one of the more popular ones here in North America that's connected to Overdrive libraries. You put in your library card, you download the Libby app, and you're checking out books directly to your phone. Or in the case of Kobo, on the Kobo readers, you can actually check out books in Canada here. Oh, no, actually in the States too. Yeah, as long as it's connected to your Overdrive linked library card. But the sales to libraries are continuing to grow, and that's one of the areas we've consistently seen more growth. I'm going to talk about growth in a bit. And with the libraries, the 2 major ways that you make money off libraries are the one copy, one user, OCOU, or the cost per checkout, CPC. Those are the 2 alternatives. Now, one copy, one user means the library will purchase from the wholesaler a copy of one of your books, and they will own that digital license forever. And so one of the reasons why, for the one copy, one user, when you go into Draft2Digital, we'll recommend that you set your library price 2 to 3 times higher than your retail price. You're getting about 48% of that price. So if, let's say, your ebook sells for $5 at retail, $4.99, you set a $9.99 library price, you're getting just under 50% of that when the library purchases it. And they can loan that book to one consumer, one patron at a time, forever. And if they want to lend 2 at a time, they got to buy a second copy. So, but unlike print books, they don't wear out. So again, that's why we recommend charging a little bit more. We do know that the major publishers charge anywhere from $50 to $80 to $150, and they actually wear out usually after 30 checkouts. So the big publishers, the major traditional publishers, are really sticking a knife in the gut of library budgets. And so we recommend that authors do price their books higher, but we do recommend that they also keep in mind, price it relative to what your retail price is, because the libraries, and I've heard this from librarians, they'll go and see what your retail price is. If you're charging $5 for retail, but then you're charging $500 or something ridiculously high price for the library, they think you're taking advantage of them. So that's one copy, one user. That's how that license works. Cost per checkout, which you have to opt into, you have to choose that you want to be part of that program, is instead of getting that close to 50%, the 48% every time they purchase a copy, the library doesn't pre-purchase your copies. What the library does is they go into the catalog and they say, okay, I have a budget of this many thousands of dollars for September of 2022. I want to take these 2,000 books that I think look good, that were all new releases, and I want to make them available in the cost per checkout program. I'm going to show them all to my patrons. I'm not going to buy them up front. What I'm going to do is anytime a patron checks out one of those books, I'm going to pay a checkout fee every time they check it out. And you get a micropayment for that. You get 1/10 of the price. So instead of on that $10 book, instead of $5, you're getting $1 for that. So it seems like a micropayment, but here's the cool thing. 20 people could check out the book at the same time from the same library, and you're going to get paid $20 for that. And so this is great for book clubs. It is also budgets. Libraries have to set a budget because it can get out of hand really, really quickly. So they usually have a cap and say, I'm able to spend this much money on the cost per checkout. Now, I was always leery as an author about cost per checkout. And it wasn't until I started to do audiobooks several years ago, and I was getting paid from Findaway Voices. And I was trying to figure out these library platforms I'd never heard of. I was getting these, 50 cents, 48 cents, 72 cents, whatever, for these checkouts on my novels. And I was wondering where they came from, and they seemed like micropayments, but I noticed over time, they really, really added up. And I made most of my money on my first audiobooks from, I don't know if you can hear that loud muffler just going by in the neighborhood here. Excuse me. But I made more of my money from those audiobooks from cost per checkout. So I learned the value of cost per checkout early on, which was pretty exciting. Here are just some global sales, just to give you a feel. So this is based on Draft2Digital sales data and the top selling territories that we sold in 2019. Now, obviously, the US is a major market. So nearly 60% or 59% of our sales came from the US in 2019. The next biggest territory was Canada, 10.6%. And as a former employee of Kobo, I can tell you most of those sales probably came from Kobo, but that would be Kobo, and Apple also have presence in Canada as well. Then you get Australia at 9.3%. Great Britain, the Netherlands, Germany, France, New Zealand, etc. And so, and then the rest of the world is like this really, really tiny sliver. But when we look at this again in Q1 of 2022, and I haven't yet been able to get the stats for the first half of 2022, but they're coming soon. You'll notice that the US has dropped down to 58%, so it's gone down a bit. And the rest of the world has gone up, and you'll notice a little bit of a shift. Australia grew more, it surpassed Canada, Great Britain's still up there, Germany, etc. Now, this isn't that the US market shrank, it's that the rest of the world grew because the sales were up, but they were up more in other territories, which is sort of evidence of something we've in the industry known for a long time, is that, yeah, the US was a great place for ebooks, but most of the rest of the world, actually most of the world still reads print books, but most of the rest of the world is very heavily still reading print books. So as ebook expansion and adoption grows around the world, we're going to see the US market become slightly smaller because those other markets are growing. And what does that mean? that means new markets, new readers, new opportunities for authors. A lot of authors think, oh no, I wasn't around in the 2011 gold rush of ebooks. Those are the early days. We still have millions and millions and millions of readers who have not yet discovered the joy of ebook reading. And that's some of the data we're getting from these stats. Now, this is a bit of a breakdown. So our retailers are obviously a huge part of our market. So 84% of the platforms is coming from retailers. Libraries is growing. I don't have the numbers, but I know that nearing 10% for libraries. That was something that was growing because I think it was closer to 5% just a year or two prior to the pandemic. And subscription is also seeing a growth. There's a lot more growth in platforms like we're seeing through Kobo Plus, and we're seeing a lot of growth through Script. And then wholesale as well is something we're going to be seeing a little more growth in the next a little while for both ebooks as well as print, which I'll talk about. Now, we allow territorial rights. And so what does this mean? Territorial rights by default, when you publish an ebook, it's worldwide. However, there are authors who work with publishers, and there are publishers who may only buy, for example, North American rights. So if I were to, for example, sell a book to a publisher here in Canada where I am, and they purchased only Canadian rights, I still own all the rights to the rest of the world. So I can get my money and sign my contract and work with them. Then I can also independently release that same book where I'm getting my own cover design, etc. I can go into Draft2Digital and say, sell this everywhere but Canada, exclude Canada from the territories. So two major authors who've worked in traditional publishing and self-publishing, Robert J. Sawyer, who's a Canadian science fiction author, Kevin J. Anderson, who's a fantasy and sci-fi author from the States. They've done this with the various publishers where they go in and set those rights so they can have the best of both worlds. We also do territorial pricing. And because you're not just publishing globally, but we also send the price to the local retailer. Whoops, why am I getting feedback? Can I potentially get people to mute their mics so I don't get the feedback for now? Thank you. So on the pricing tool in Draft2Digital, that's where you see the managed territorial prices, and the territorial rights are right below the price. So this is a book where I've set $4.99 for the price. Now that's US because Draft2Digital is a US company. But what Draft2Digital does, it'll automatically round that price to a clean rounded price. So for example, if I were to put $4.99 US into the system, I'm just going to get Google's help here. Hey Google, what's $4.99 US dollars converted to Canadian?
499 United States dollars is approximately 647 Canadian dollars and 86 cents.
Okay, Google, stop. Okay, so $6.47 Canadian is based on the current exchange rate. What Draft2Digital does is it rounds it to a nice, pretty number that looks good to us Canadians. $6.99 looks way better than $6.47. Also, $6.99, the margin off $6.99 is better than the margin off $6.47. So not only is it a rounded, clean price, so you'll notice, and these are the territories I personally care about as an author: Australia, Canada, GBP, British pounds, and euros, as well as New Zealand dollars. So those are the price points I tend to care about. So one of the things I do as an author, I publish direct to Kindle, I publish direct to Kobo, I publish direct on Google, and then I use Draft2Digital to get to all the other places. I start at Draft2Digital and I put my US price in, and then I see what the cleaned prices are. And I use that when I go and set up my books on the other platforms. I actually copy that into a spreadsheet, so I always know what my regular prices are. But the great thing is you can see on Draft2Digital what those nice prices are, and you can use that as a great tool for helping you with those other platforms. So again, another tool that's very, very useful. Speaking of useful tools, you can price schedule, which means you can set a discounted price. Let's say you get a BookBub or a Bargain Booksy or something, and you're going to want to temporarily drop your book to 99 cents for a promo. It starts on this date and ends on that date. With Draft2Digital, you set it and forget it. You can set it, well, you don't forget it because you're running a promo. You're usually pretty excited about it. But on Amazon, you got to go and set it, at a few minutes to midnight and hope that it gets through at 12:01 local time. But what you can do is Draft2Digital, you can go in and say, okay, this book is going to be 99 cents on this date, and I want it to end on that date. And what Draft2Digital will do is in the metadata, we'll send it ahead of time to all the vendors in the XML-based Onyx feed, that's the industry standard, that says this ISBN at this time, 12:01 a.m. local time, so Australia, et cetera, for the international companies like Kobo, et cetera, it's going to change to 99 cents so that people in Australia and in Europe, for example, are getting the price deal when they wake up 6 to 12 hours before we do here in North America. And then it goes back to the regular price. So you can set that up, pre-schedule. You can also set up pre-orders in advance and assetless pre-orders. So for example, right now I have a book coming out in March 2023 that I'm going to be co-authoring in November during NaNoWriMo. We have our editors booked for December, and we have the proofread ready for February as we go through the rounds of edits. All we have is a cover and a synopsis. We have no content. So I've put up the assetless pre-order. Now, we're going to get hounded and nagged by Draft2Digital starting probably about a month before the pre-order goes live to say, hey, you better get your assets here. We want to send that to the retailers. So we do have that great thing. But we also have a merchandiser who works at Draft2Digital, Megan. Megan works for me. And she's constantly running reports to look for what pre-orders do we have in the system, because several of our retail partners like Apple and Kobo and Barnes and Noble Nook are looking for, hey, what pre-orders do we have in these different genres so we could potentially feature them in the near future. We also have automated end matter. Whoops, I think I went too far. Let me go, come on. I want to go back. Thank you. Did I go when? Okay, sorry about that. I hit the wrong keys. Automated end matter. So when you're creating your EPUB, loading your Word document, we can automatically, if you want to, if you haven't put it in your document, we can automatically create copyright page for you, dedication page, things. If you didn't know how to do it, we can do it for you. We can create a sign up notification so that when you publish your next title, people are notified, say, hey, Mark has a new book out. Just want you to know about it because you said you're interested in his books. We can create teasers. Hey, now that you finished this book, you should read this other book by this author. And then we grab the cover, we grab the blurb, and we have the universal book link, which I'm going to talk about for that book. And every time you add a new book to your catalog, if you have a list of your universal book links that you've added using the automated end matter, every time you add a new book to your catalog, we go in and update all your previous books and add the links to your new books that you've published. So all your books on all the retailers that we send to are automatically updated. You don't have to go back and do it yourself. Again, saving time for you so we can move forward. Again, we're trying to reduce the repetitive tasks as much as possible. That's what that's about. We have account sharing, which is amazing. You can share an account with a virtual assistant, and you can give them access to go in and edit your pricing, upload covers for you, update your metadata, etc. But they have no access to your financial information, and they can't see your sales. So that's a cool feature that is meant for safety and security, because a lot of people will hire a virtual assistant, but they will never get to meet them in person. And it also removes that layer of, well, I know my virtual assistant couldn't have done anything there because they don't even have access to my account. So that's a great thing. We also offer print on demand, which is in beta right now. And if you go to draft2digital.com/print beta, or if you go to your Draft2Digital account and click on any of your ebooks and click on the print tab, there's a link that says, click here to be added to the print beta. Right now, we're clearing out the queue. We used to have thousands and thousands of authors in the queue, but right now, you're waiting less than a week to get into the print beta. So that's something that's really cool. But we can match your ebook. If you got your ebook loaded with the Word document, you can use the templates and create a PDF of the interior. It's beautiful, the same template, so it matches your ebook, which is kind of cool. If you don't have a print cover, that's no problem. Because sometimes you'll pay a designer for the front cover, but you don't have a full wrap because maybe at the time you didn't know what the page count was going to be, etc. But you can use an automated cover creator to expand, and basically it'll do an automated cover wrap for you. You can control the text on the spine. You can add a colophon, which is kind of like your little logo for your publishing company. And then you can put your author picture on the back and change the text and this font and the size. And again, let's be honest, if people are buying books online, they're not flipping the book over and looking at the back. So the back isn't as critical as the front cover, but at least it looks like a professionally produced book, which is, again, something we offer for free for that conversion. We only have paperback right now, but we will be doing that as well for hardcover and for large print, which, again, make it easy because you don't have to get redesigns for all of these formats. We'll help take care of that for you. Right now, we've limited it to the 7 most common trim sizes. So in comparison to Ingram Spark, you've got about 30 choices. We will expand that. We wanted to start off small because one of the challenges we have is if we give people too many options and too many choices, they suffer from analysis paralysis. I don't know which one to do, so we went with the most common ones. We're considering for advanced users saying, yeah, I'm an advanced user, give me all the trim sizes. So that's something that'll come in the future, but right now we went with the most common. 5x8 at the lowest, 8.5 by 11 at the largest. We will be able to go smaller. We will be able to not really go that much bigger because that's pretty much one of the larger trim sizes, but that's it for now. You can choose from matte or glossy, so the finish for the cover of the book with the wraparound cover. And again, there's cover templates as well. So we provide a template that you can give to your designer, or if you're familiar with using Adobe, et cetera, to design a cover, it'll be perfectly lined up because it'll have all those spacing for you. Payment splitting is another really, really cool thing we do for collaboration. So I, for example, publish anthologies. I'm co-authoring some books. And when I have a co-author, one of the challenges I have as a Canadian is, let's say I get paid from the retailers, that US dollar money has to get translated into Canadian dollars. I always lose money to the Bank of Canada exchange rate. Then I got to sort out, take the money, put it in my bank, sort out what I'm doing, and go, okay, I've got to send X% to this author and X% of that platform to this author and X% of that. And as you know, if you've been publishing for a while, places like Amazon, you get paid for Amazon.com and Amazon.uk, which tend to be the higher dollar amounts. But I get paid for Amazon Mexico, for example, and I get 18 cents. Or I get 12 cents or 2 cents or whatever. And so just figuring out, okay, 50% of 18 cents is easy enough, et cetera. We figure that out. But then I do all those calculations to figure out what I owe my co-authors. And then I got to translate it back into American if they're American to pay them, or in UK pounds to pay them. And again, I lose money on the exchange rate. So with collaboration, I set up a book. I invite someone to be a collaborator, say, hey, it's a 50-50 split. We're co-authors, or whatever split you want. I have an anthology with 16 contributors, and so it's divided up. You could divide it up 99 ways, 1% for everyone involved. Draft2Digital will send the payment directly to each person. The people who are collaborators can see in their reports what the sales are of those books, so you don't have to always be communicating to them. They can log into their own account and take a look. And Draft2Digital will also send a tax form to those authors from Draft2Digital, from the official company in Oklahoma. So they'll actually get a US-based tax form directly from them. So you, as the co-author, don't have to manage all that responsibility. Again, remove all of that manual calculation time, remove the hassle, the worry, the frustration, the stress, the lost margin on all of the conversions. And it's something I leverage all the time. We have a book landing pages and merchandising pages. You can link to your email list, or we can allow Draft2Digital to email readers of your new releases to you. We have author profiles available, and they're through Books to Read. I'm going to talk about where you can set up a profile page and include your website, links to social media, and even feature whatever books you want. What I love about these is you don't have to beg a retailer. We can feature it for you. You can feature your own. And we will be able to do similar things with the Smashwords store as we move forward. And you can create your own reading lists through Books to Read by linking your series together. You can also put other titles by other authors, similar to lists you can create on Goodreads. But with Books to Read, you can put your affiliate your affiliate number for Amazon, for Apple, for Google, for Kobo, etc. in there. So anytime anyone follows those links, you're also it's attributing your affiliate link to that. So one of the things I love about books to read, this is an example of one of my books over on the right, A Canadian Werewolf in New York, is we have the standard ebook links that when we push the refresh button, we go and get as many of those automatically for you. But we've added paperback links, hardcover links, large print links. I don't have any for this book right now. I will once Draft2Digital launches large print, because it'll be automated for me. It'd be so much easier. But also the audiobook links. And for the paperback, hardcover, large print, and audiobook links, you still have to go in and add those manually, but I can add them manually. And then I can control, you'll notice over on the top right, I put my PayHip link, which is the direct buy direct from me link there. I put that first. I was recently in a Nook promo, so I wanted Nook near the front of the list, and I can move those around depending on which one you want to be, closest to the top left. And you can customize it. So if you look in the bottom left-hand corner, you see https:/books2read.com/u/4j blah blah, stand on your head, umlaut, jump up and down, scream at the top of your lungs, whatever all those characters are. Or you can custom name the URL. And what I've done for most of my books is books2read.com/the name of the book. So A Canadian Werewolf in New York, Haunted Hospitals, which is a traditionally published book. So you can custom name the URL as well, which is really good functionality. What was I showing here? This is the customized author page. So again, with books to read, this is like, think about this like Author Central for all the stores, not just for Amazon. And again, you have links to your website, you have links to your social media, you have your author photo, you have a follow button so that anytime you publish a book on Draft2Digital, we'll send them a link with the books to read link for your book to whatever, whatever platforms they want to pick it up on. And again, you can custom name it. There's this really complicated books2read.com/AP for author page /random characters /D/Mark Leslie. But I just wanted to change that to Mark Leslie. So I can say, you can find all my books at books2read.com/Mark Leslie. And I control what I want people to see. So this was one of my earlier releases that had said latest release. And then you can see other books in the same series. Then you can see other carousels, and I control the order of them and what's on that page. Again, all 100% free. So I can create reading lists as well. So I do write a lot of scary books. So I have this thing called Spooky Spaces that features Haunted Hospitals, one of my books, but also features a whole bunch of other books. So I can share this reading list with maybe collaborators I want to work with, friends, other people, other books that I recommend personally. I have a Canadian Werewolf link. I have a Booze to read in the Stranger Things sort of typeface for scary books to read at Halloween. Bargain reads. You can build whatever you want for reading lists. You can put whatever books you want on there and control it. What we are going to be doing in the future with books to read is trying to make it more of a discoverability platform for readers. So if I go to a books to read page and I go, okay, that's neat. What are some other popular books on this platform that I can go check out? And again, trying to drive people to those reading lists that you guys have created. We were doing for a while feature promos on books to read, where we were curating books that were published by Draft2Digital authors, and we were trying to spotlight them alongside books from big name authors. So we would have, traditionally published big name author books that people would recognize, and then we were putting them beside indie author books because we were trying to really brand books to read and advertise it to readers. Like, hey, here's some springtime reading books. Here are some indie fireworks, which is just nothing but indie authors. Here are some books to read for your summer vacation, etc. And so if you go to d2d.tips/d2d promo form, you'll find a link. And don't worry, there's another link coming up if you haven't written it down, where you can get that access to that link. So you can fill out a form to let Megan know, hey, I'm publishing these kinds of books, these genres to these platforms for D2D. Please consider me for promotional opportunities that come up. Now, beyond Draft2Digital, I represent Draft2Digital, but I'm a purveyor of publishing wide, getting your books, not just the argument of exclusive to Amazon versus the other main retailers. I'm about helping authors understand all of the opportunities available to you that include traditional publishing. I traditionally publish some of my books. I indie publish most of my books, but I'm always open to getting my books into as many platforms and as many areas and as many formats as possible. And I want you, when you're thinking about your author career, to remember one really important thing. Your IP is one of the most valuable assets you have. You get to decide where you publish, when you publish, how you publish. And remember, your book is merely one possible IP from the idea you had. So look at the storefronts, actually pay attention, go to the other platforms. If you're only going to Amazon to look, go and see, how does Apple merchandise? How does Kobo merchandise? How does Barnes and Noble merchandise? One of the things you'll notice is that on Amazon, the inmates kind of run the asylum. It's all about gaming the system. It's all about Amazon ads. It's all about all that time and effort you put into that. Pretty much every other major retailer, with the exception of Google, so Apple, Barnes and Noble, and Kobo, have humans who merchandise those books. They select those books. They decide what books are going in those virtual front windows. So there's a lot more of that manual curation. You understand what they're looking for and what they're regularly featuring and the price points that they're regularly featuring. It's really important to spend some time taking a look at those. And it takes time and it takes patience. And maybe you only focus on one at a time. You say, you know, I'm going to focus on Apple this month and see what I can do to improve my sales on Apple. I'm going to focus on Barnes & Noble. I'm going to focus on Kobo, whatever the case may be, because you're not going to be able to do it all at once. Think about ways you can connect directly with readers so you're not reliant on the retailers. You want to be able to connect with your readers no matter where or how you're publishing, so you can direct them to your direct sales. You can direct them specifically to promos on specific sites. And of course, if you're using a books to read link, you can say, hey, my book's available on all of these different platforms. My books can be available, wherever. You get to decide where you buy them. Digital audio and print chapbooks. This is just an idea of something that I've done. So I started off in the traditional days of publishing, where you were meant to get your sell books to magazines and eventually build up a name for yourself. And then over time, potentially you would, maybe be lucky enough to have an agent or an editor look at your stuff. And so what I've done is many short story collections. So for example, I have Spirits, a 6,000 word haunting love story, which is published as a standalone short story. I have Prospero's Ghost, which is a story I have published in another book. This is a freebie that's available free on most platforms. I have this Memento Mori, a horror story inspired by a Mark Twain tale. And then, of course, an erotic horror piece called Switch. But I also have over on the left-hand side what I call a digital chapbook. Active Reader, there are 3 short stories previously published that were all the theme of books in book world places. It's only about 12,000, 15,000 words. I make them available as an ebook. I make it available as an audiobook because it's a lot cheaper. It's only about an hour and a half. So it costs me a lot less to pay a narrator for. And I also make those little print chapbooks because I can get the wraparound cover for free from Draft2Digital. I can get a free ISBN from Draft2Digital. And I was at a book fair yesterday, and it's a great product I can sell for $5, whereas the rest of my books are $10, $15, $20, and $25. Snowman Shivers is 2 short stories. Dark humor stories about snowmen. Nocturnal Screams is horror. Z is for zombie, or just zombie stories. Bumps in the Night, meant to be read around a campfire. Tricky Treats, guess what time of year that one sells, etc. So think about what you can do with different IP that you have, including short fiction. Experimental formats. These are some of my traditionally published books I've gone ahead and created. Now, this is something I can't do through Draft2Digital, but I do this one directly on Amazon. I've created a ghost hunter journal. So the first 30% of the book is how to go on a ghost walk. What do you need? What is the equipment you need? What are the legalities? What's the safety? What do you need? All the different things, sort of a checklist on how to do it. Walks you through some of the logistics, and then the whole rest of the book is a journal you would fill out. And again, I will take this ghost hunter journal. It's a $5 thing that I can sell when I'm at an event, people who want to go on their own ghost walks. But I also combine it. So Creepy Capital, which is Canada's capital city of Ottawa, I put Creepy Capital together with a ghost hunter journal, a postcard I created of some of the downtown locations of the from the book in downtown Ottawa. And then I add a dollar store keychain flashlight, and suddenly I have a beautiful little gift pack. So it's not just this great book you can get, but you get this entire gift package. And so suddenly you're selling up a little bit. Again, that's for in-person events. These books, these traditionally published books, sell 1,000 times more in print than they'll ever sell in ebook. And so I often sell way more of those in person. I called it the summer vacation back. So the book sells for $25. You add an extra $5, and it definitely didn't cost me $5 to get all this. And suddenly I'm upselling there. This is an example. Macabre Montreal sold to a traditional publisher. So Shayna and I, we ran into an issue where our editor found 4 or 5 of our chapters were too disturbing. And so he cut them from the book. So we had these fully written chapters that were ready to go. And so we created our own book. Now, this isn't the cover we went with, the slightly different one, but Shayna took the pictures for the cover. So we already had all the raw image. So we went with a similar font, etc. And we created a $5 booklet called Too Macabre for Montreal. So it's some of the stories that never made the final cut. And in the back of the book is a link to the full book. So if they buy this cheap book for $5, hopefully they're going to go on and buy the larger book, or even if they discovered the large book and they want more and they can handle stories that are a little more disturbing because they're about serial killers, etc., rather than about ghosts, they've got that. Again, expanding our IP, making different things available. I've also used Wattpad.com, for example, to test markets and see who's reading this, what kind of thing. Yes, they're reading it for free, but I get access to analytics. I can interact with fans and I can understand what's resonating, what are the chapters where they're having problems, because there's a lot of feedback, a lot of comments. And in this particular case, over 200,000 reads of that with over 5,000 votes. If anything, it's a darn exciting ego boost for an author when you're having a tough day and your dashboards aren't as happy as you want them to be. There's new tech and new storytelling. You've got just different location-based apps. You've got Story City that's available. I did sell the rights to Haunted Hamilton to a publisher, but on voicemap.com, there's an app that can take you on a virtual GPS-enabled walking tour. And so sure enough, I've got a historical downtown ghost walk based on some of the research I did to create Haunted Hamilton. And in the ghost walk, I introduce myself and say, hi, you're listening to Mark Leslie, the author of Haunted Hamilton. You can find the book via links at my website, markleslie.ca. Let's get on to the tour. That tour sells for $4.99 US. You get the first 2 stops of the tour for free, and then it's a half-hour walking tour for the rest. And without doing anything, I'm regularly selling these. Now, fortunately, I created this just before the pandemic. So guess what? People couldn't go on ghost walks with other people in groups back in the day. So I was selling a lot of these because people could go on a ghost walk at their own leisure. If they're too scared to do it after dark, they could do it in the middle of the afternoon if they wanted. Or if they had to go to the washroom or were hungry and wanted to break for something to eat, they pause, they go have their lunch, and then they continue it whenever at their own leisure rather than having to keep up with the group. This is just a blatant self-promotion slide of some of the books I have available for authors, co-authored. Probably the co-authored book with Joanna Penn's probably the most popular one, The Relaxed Author. But of course, Wide for the Win is one I'm really proud of because of the movement and the strategies to sell globally. But that's it. So if you go to d2d.tip/conference, that will give you links to all kinds of access, including that promo form that I talked about. This is my contact information as well. Information about the D2D lives that we do every Thursday. I'm going to be interviewing Heather live Thursday, September 15th at 1 p.m. Eastern, and I look forward to that. But we do a new interview every single week. I'm now going to stop the screen share so I can see the questions and comments and see your pretty faces, etc. And we're back. Where should I start, Heather? With the question? Heather, you're muted.
Oh, I thought I unmuted myself, but I muted myself. That was great. I have to hear more about the ghost tour thing because I live in a historic town, and that is an exciting idea to me. So there are some questions that have been dropped in the side there.
Okay, should I start with Eileen at the top then?
Sure.
And Eileen, I may ask if it's okay if you want to elaborate. When you say opt in and out of D2D, what do you mean by opting in and out of D2D? Do you mean opt to publish a book through D2D and then unpublish a book? Or do you mean, I'm not sure what you're.
Hello, so am I allowed to voice my question?
Yes,
again?
please, yes.
Yeah, what I meant is, for example, on Amazon, you can opt into KU for 3 months and then out. Maybe you'll be able to answer my question once you look at the second one where I was talking about, can I publish on Draft2Digital on Amazon?
Yeah. Thank you. That's a great question. You're in control. We don't control how often you can publish or unpublish books from Draft2Digital. Now, the big hang up, the big issue is Amazon, because when you click that exclusivity clause, Amazon forbids you from publishing your book wide. Now, the problem you need to be aware of going in and out and in and out and in and out of Kindle Unlimited is that our retailer partners are really, really good at taking the book down. If you say unpublished from Apple, from Kobo, from whatever, they will take it down immediately. They're really, really good. Unfortunately, Kobo has some partners, Fnac is one of them in France, who may take weeks to get to it. They're not as fast as Kobo. And that's one of the challenges you're going to have. So if you ever do go in and out of exclusivity, be aware Amazon may come after you because the books may not come down right away from all of the further reaching places. So, but you can publish and unpublish. It's your book. You're in charge. And that's the only thing. Now, there may be some promotions, and this has happened. If we've asked you to be in a promo for Apple, for example, and then you come back and say, well, I want to remove my book. I'm like, yeah, but we just negotiated with Apple to get your book into a promo. Do you really want to remove it? Because they're going to feature it. So that, I hope that answers the question. And then I think I'll skip to your second question, Eileen. Do authors need to advertise for readers to find their books on Draft2Digital? That's a great question too. Now, Draft2Digital is not a place where they find the books. Draft2Digital is a tool to help you get the books to the other places. So yes, if you want to advertise your books on different platforms, and there are places like BookBub, Facebook ads, and some of the other newsletters that, you know, if you're doing a price promo, like Written Word Media has Bargain Booksy and Free Booksy, and there's Fussy Librarian and e-reader News Today and a whole bunch of other platforms. You can and should, if you're advertising to Amazon, you should also advertise to some of the other platforms, but you don't have to say to any reader Draft2Digital, because who cares? Draft2Digital is nothing but a tool you use to get your books to the really important places, which are the retailers or through the libraries. And I hope that answers that question.
That's what that great page was. That, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Heather asked a great question. So yeah, ISBNs are free on Draft2Digital. If you need an ISBN for your ebook, or you need an ISBN for your print book, we will provide them to you. Now, some people will say, yes, but officially with Bowker, Draft2Digital is listed as the publisher. Who looks at that? Who cares? Now, what I'm in Canada, I get access to ISBNs in a different way, and they are free to me as a Canadian. You guys have the right to bear arms in the US. I have the right to bear ISBNs. So, or to arm bears, whatever.
Arm everything in America.
But yeah, I mean, so I like to have, so for example, in my Canadian Werewolf series, this is the hardcover ISBN, this is the trade paperback, this is the ebook ISBN. It doesn't matter if you publish direct to Amazon, for example, and the paperback on Amazon is just an ASIN, it doesn't have an ISBN, fine. You use the Draft2Digital one, it doesn't really matter. What matters is how can you save money and time and expense and hassle. So it's really, it's completely up to you. There will be different people who have different theories about that, but at the end of the day, I think we worry a lot about, oh, the ISBNs have to be exactly perfect the same. No, authors, readers don't care. They just want to buy your books or read them. So
let me ask this, Mark, if you go and you publish directly to Barnes and Noble and Amazon first, you have to get that ISBN if you want it under an ISBN. But if we go to Draft2Digital first, but we want to directly publish to Barnes and Noble,
no, you can't.
Amazon,
Sorry. No, my apologies. So we're only going to be that generous so you can't take the ISBN and go publish it directly.
Right,
So you have to play with us with our ball.
right,
So if you want to publish directly, like Amazon doesn't require one, Kobo doesn't require one, some of the platforms don't require one, they'll just create a dummy for you. You
right.
can do that and then use an ISBN for Draft2Digital. So
But if you go through Draft2Digital and you just publish to these, you can just click the boxes for those various
you
platforms
just decide,
and
yeah.
and hit
Yeah.
publish, and it's all done.
So what I do is I publish direct to KDP. I publish direct to Kobo through Kobo Writing Life. So when I publish to Draft2Digital, unless I'm doing payment splitting, when I publish direct to Draft2Digital, I just go, okay, don't publish to Amazon, don't publish to Kobo. So by default now, when I set up a new book, by default, it remembers my default is don't publish to Kobo, don't publish to Amazon. So in a book like Lover's Moon just came out earlier this year. When Lover's Moon is publishing, because I payment split that with Julie, I'm publishing everywhere from Draft2Digital because they're taking care of the payment splitting.
Okay.
Well, I have to publish direct to Google, but that's easy enough to do, the one bit of math.
It's like you need a tree, and there are some you talk about this stuff you have blogs and
Yes.
other information. People can drill down into the deeper questions if they want to online.
For sure, thank you.
Mhm.
Eileen asked another great question. Can I publish ebooks on D2D and on Amazon at the same time? Yes, provided you don't select Amazon as a distribution channel, because you're going direct there, so you don't want a duplicate listing. And provided you don't select the KDP select Kindle Unlimited exclusivity, because Amazon's preventing you from publishing it anywhere else. But otherwise, yeah, of course you can. And you should if you're publishing beyond Amazon. What about print books on Ingram and D2D? So Draft2Digital's print partner is Ingram. So with Ingram has a system called Lightning Source, which is a print on demand platform. Ingram Spark is a front end, kind of like a user friendly-ish front end that goes to Lightning Source, and Draft2Digital has a different front end that goes to Lightning Source. So whether you go through Ingram Spark or Draft2Digital print, you're going to the exact same platforms. So I hope that helps. But you can, for example, and this is what I do, is I'll publish the print book directly to Amazon, but then I'll use Draft2Digital print. And what happens is Ingram will send it to Amazon and everyone else, but then Amazon goes, nah, we got this one. We got this one, we don't need it, we got it ourselves. And they'd rather buy it from themselves than anyone else. Melissa asked, I hear you in beta with print, but maybe that. Oh yeah, so Melissa, I hope I answered that question later in the program about beta and print, or earlier in the program, maybe you missed it, but we are in print beta. If you have a D2D account, go to the print tab, click on the thing to get added to the print beta. If you shouldn't be in the beta more on the waiting list for more than a week. Now it's beta only because we have not yet properly released author copies beyond North America. Because right now, if you were to live in Australia or the UK or something like that, it would cost you $150 to ship an author copy from Tennessee. And so we're in the process right now of alpha testing with some of our authors in those territories, because we have printers there that they're using. So we're still calling it beta, but it's actually, the distribution is live and wide and growing like you wouldn't believe. So I hope that helps. And if you are still stuck on the waiting list, thanks for the thumbs up that you got that. But if you are stuck on the waiting list, just email support at Draft2Digital, and you'll be in the program within a week. Heather answered that already.
Well, I wasn't sure. You gave way more detail than I did, and I wasn't 100% sure I was going to say it right. So,
but yeah, now, if there are any other questions that have come up since then, or things that you want me to clarify, I'm
yes,
more than
if
happy
anybody
to.
has a question, just unmute yourself, and he'll know that you want to ask a question. I personally really liked the author pages. With it had the ebook. I really love that. That way that it's organized, and it looked really user friendly. It looks like Eileen might have another question.
Sure.
Go ahead, Eileen.
Okay, I have a quick question. Do you distribute or do you reach countries of Africa in terms of distribution? And how easy is it for people there to purchase books? I'm asking this question because I know when they try to buy this from Amazon, it takes them to Amazon.com or Amazon.uk, which makes it hard because they are using a different currency. So for your system, how does it work for countries in Africa?
How does it work for currency? So when we send, if we were to send the book to Amazon, we would send Amazon your US price, but we would also, when you saw that screenshot, we would send a cleaned up version of the UK price so that Amazon could use that price on their UK site. I do recommend you publish direct to Amazon. It gives you the best control. See, I work for Draft2Digital, but I'm still saying, you know, publish direct where it's easier or better for you. It's always about you and what works for you. And I did miss some of the question, but if you were talking about the difference between like Amazon.ca and Amazon.com and Amazon.uk and all the places.
Okay, if I
Book-
can read that, let's say our original come from Kenya. So if there are readers there who would like to access my book, do they pay in Kenya shillings but still access the book?
I didn't catch all that.
Do you want to type it in, Eileen? Because you have a little bit of a artifact sound, robotic artifact sound in your.
I don't know if you're far away from the mic or.
Yeah, maybe if you got closer to the mic a little bit.
Sorry, because I got onto an external.
That's
and
better.
then I was trying to talk to my phone, yet I have an external speaker. Sorry. So I was wondering, let's say, because you distribute the book globally, and I have a reader in Kenya who would like to access my book, are they able to pay in the local currency? Or do they have to convert into dollars or Canadian dollars to be able to access
Okay.
it?
That is a great question. Thank you for asking it. And thanks for getting closer to the mic because I could actually hear every word, which is better. No, so that's up to the retailer. So I know, for example, it depends on the retailer. So Amazon's not even available in some countries. Apple is available in a lot more countries in the rest of the world. Kobo is available in 170 countries. It depends on the retailer and if the retailer accepts money in those currencies. So I can pay Amazon or Kobo in Canadian dollars, for example. Those are the two of the places where I buy books. But it just depends on the retailer. So if the retailer takes Kenyan dollars or do they take some other currency, that's up to them, not up to Draft2Digital. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Miko, Melissa, did you have another question? Anybody? I just want to give everybody a chance because we still have, you know, about 15 or so minutes. And if you have a question, Miko, go ahead.
I'm not sure it falls under the, I think it's more under, I think mine is more under marketing, but I am still learning my way around Draft2Digital and the books to read. It's, I did recently get a chance to see the numbers on the other side where it showed the, I guess the cleaner numbers. So I was like, oh, okay, not a lot of work to switch these. So it's not saying you can buy it for like $1.32 or something. So yeah, I'm enjoying the Draft2Digital thing. I'm just still learning how to bring people to the books or bring the books to people, but that's a marketing thing.
Yeah, no, thank you. And honestly, that is forever the issue all authors will always have is, yay, you made it easier publishing my book. So, and that's one of the things, just so you know, one of the things I've been working a lot on is, yay, we made it easy to publish the books. And so that's why Megan works with me on my team to do nothing but author promotions. And her job is to look for great books published through Draft2Digital. And again, we publish thousands and thousands and thousands of titles a week, but we have to try to take, oh, this looks like a good book. And Apple was looking for books that are in this genre that are coming out in October. Let's show those. And honestly, we're like little sales reps with our little catalogs, they're virtual catalogs, but we meet with our partners once a month and we show them, hey, these are some books you should take a look at. And then we try to work on promotions with those different platforms to say, hey, Miko has a new book in this category, and it's going to be on sale. They're dropping it to 99 cents on these days. Can you include it in a feature? So we're constantly trying to help authors by propping as many books as we can up with different retailers. The best promos we get are with the libraries, because usually the libraries are pretty much accept 99% of the books we submit. Now, if we send 100 books to Apple, they'll pick 5 of them maybe, right? So we don't always get all of them in.
Libraries have been pretty good for me. I mean, I'm still getting there, but I have sold books in countries I've forgotten.
That's awesome.
Or then I look up and I'm like, wait, what sold? Where was this? And it was to a library, and they say which one. And I had something sold in Peru, I think a couple months ago.
Sweet. What genre do you write?
I have nonfiction, fiction, and children's stories.
Cool.
And,
awesome. Okay.
So it was my Spanish version of.
Oh, you've done translations.
Yes. So that sold in Peru. I was like I did a little happy dance, and I called my mom and I went to tell her, I was like, I sold a book in Peru. Okay. I'm in another country.
Awesome. So that promo form that I provided the link for, D2D tips/conference, I think is the final link where you can find all of that stuff. And again, just put d2d.tips/conference. Don't put anything else in the URL. Just put that in.
Do you actually have conferences too?
We go to conferences. So we often share that when we present at conferences, because then we just have a, hey, conference goer. Hey,
Okay.
We're thinking of this as a virtual conference. Go check out these great things that we talked about. They're all listed here. But when you fill out that little promo form, one of the things you can say is, hey, I have the books in this genre available in Spanish, because every once in a while our library partners or retail partners may say, we're doing a feature on Spanish language books. Do you have any things you want to recommend? And go like, well, we know someone who's got some stuff. Here you go. Take a look. And all of that little stuff helps. And again, honestly, with marketing, it's almost like a shotgun approach. And this works, and that, where you're throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Like,
some of it's good.
Yes.
Well, and you all have a lot of, again, for people who may not have used Draft2Digital, they get paid when you get paid.
We want you to sell more, because then we make more.
Yes. So they've got all these tools to help you promote and collect all the places that you're selling things, keep it all nice and tidy, and that way. And that is complicated. Even just if you don't have a website, an author website, that is a step in the right direction. If that's just a bridge too far for you right now, even if you just start with a couple of places that you're going to distribute, if it's just Amazon and Apple and, or whatever. So it's better to this is always my philosophy. You finish the manuscript, because you can't publish a book that's not finished and then publish the book. And then you can, figure out where to go from there, but you can't ever sell a book that you have not published. So
yeah, for sure. No one's going to sneak into your house, give you money, and then take it out of the drawer.
And you're right about the trim sizes. If you do get that analysis paralysis, sometimes you're like, this is too much. Why would I want this trim size over this trim size? And even just cutting it down to that level of trim sizes itself is help. It's guidance. Yeah. Because Draft2Digital knows these are the most common trim sizes, and you don't have to go, you don't have to look at that long list and go, okay, what are the, and then I go over, when I very first published my very first book, I was like trying to find the books that I read that I like and be like, what trim size is this? Yeah.
That's exactly what I've done. Yeah.
Because I had I mean, when you're just starting in it, you don't know. And that is why everything I've learned so far about Draft2Digital is impressive to me, because they've taken so much work out of figuring things out. There are things maybe you would want to publish directly. Maybe you want to publish directly to someplace else. on some platforms. But as far as the shotgun approach too, in terms of publishing in a lot of places and getting the tools to find out how much you should charge, it is just really good, user-friendly platform.
Thank you. And I do want to iterate, I work for Draft2Digital and I'm here representing Draft2Digital, but I know as personally as an author, it may be in my best interest to publish direct on this platform, but not on that platform. There's a combination of the time saving. So for example, and just to be clear, when I publish direct, I make 70%. When I publish through Draft2Digital, I only make 60%. But one of the decisions I make is how much time am I spending publishing to all the platforms? And is the 10% worth me just going? I mean, there are some, I consult with authors as well independently. And there are some authors that just go, I don't even want to publish direct to Amazon. I'm like, yeah, but you'll get more tools and you make more money and stuff. And they just, no, I just only want to do it once for everyone. Can I just do it once? And I was like, well, you'll make less money, but you only have to do it once. So again, every author has their own path, their own decisions. And it's really, it should be up to you, not us, not me.
And in the Right Women Network, we have a lot of busy moms too. And I think that, so here, this is what I'm understanding, Mark, and tell me if I'm wrong. What I'm understanding is you can publish everything through Draft2Digital while you're super busy. And let's say your kid goes off to college next year and you want to get that extra 10%, you can remove it from Draft2Digital and direct publish to Amazon or whatever and get that 10%. But you're too busy right now and you want to get that book out, you can do Draft2Digital because they give you so much control, and then remove it later if you want to.
Good point, Heather. The one thing I will caution you about flipping either from direct to Draft2Digital or Draft2Digital to direct is when you remove the book from the platform and republish a different way, you're starting from scratch again. So you're likely to lose your reviews and the ranking and all that stuff that happens.
You have to get a new number. Like,
so just be careful.
Right.
Sometimes you because I've had authors who go, I'm publishing direct, but I want to save time and publish through Draft2Digital, and they take their book down from the direct platform and come to D2D, and then their sales, they don't get any because it's a different, even though it's the same book, the system has it connected to a different ID, and that other ID was trending and everyone was showing it to everyone, everyone was buying it, and then suddenly it dropped.
Right.
And it's kind of like when you're running and you stop and then you start again, or your car, like getting it up to full speed, it can take a long time. So just be very, very careful. Yes, you can do that, but just be aware if it was doing really, really well, don't touch it.
Right.
Or you just be aware.
You may want to do a re-release, a new cover, any of those kinds of things.
Yeah, second edition.
You cannot take your Draft2Digital Amazon and you want to you want 10% on that book, you can re-release that book with a new cover and a fresh edit or something. And there are so many ways you can do it that it's, to me right now, it's like, for a lot of people, I think that 10% is worth the time savings if you're very busy, and especially if you want to have a lot of books you want to publish. If you just have one book and you don't plan on publishing any other books, you might want to just use Draft2Digital for a few things and then direct publish for a few things. So but yeah, it's just like
it's a buffet.
It's a buffet.
Just come in with your plate and decide what you want.
Okay, so thank you, everybody. Again, Mark, Leslie, Lefebvre, I enjoyed having you here, and we thank you so much for your time. His link is in the chat, but of course, when I post the video, I'll also include his link in the post itself, so you'll be able to find him if you didn't grab that link just now. And I am author H.L. Brooks, and I run the Right Women Network author salons. And if you know anybody who would like to, if you have any other author friends who are not part of the Right Women Network, please have them join the group so that they can enjoy these salons as well. We have the Right Women Book Fest October 8th is coming up. We are down to about 160 tickets now left out of 800. And so it's going very well. And you can find me on pretty much all social media as HL Brooks Writes, WRITES. And my website is hlbrooks.com. And I hope to see you at the Book Fest. I will mostly be holding down the info booth with a radio, and hopefully that's where I'll be most of the day, and there won't be any reason I have to leave the info, because I would love to see everybody come through. So if you come by and say hi to me at the info booth. This will be posted on the group page. So if you want to share the information about this and you want to have a friend watch this, it will be on the Salon group page soon. And then it will also be posted maybe in another week or so on YouTube. Okay, and that's it. And I'm going to shut off the recording. Stop.